Yo, what's up guys, it's King Sean here, and day 12 of training camp is officially in the books, and in today's video I'll be discussing it. Obviously y'all know how I do these. I first start with talking about some things that Dan Quinn said in his press conference, and then moving on to some stuff that happened during practice. So if you guys are new to my channel, leave a like down below, subscribe, turn on notifications. I'm on the road to 4K subs. If you could hit that sub button, I'd really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's get straight into the video. Alright, so Dan Quinn, as always, spoke to the media today before practice. Today's practice was actually pretty late. It started at 1:45 instead of the typical 9 a.m. startup. I'm just going to assume it's because, we're just coming off of our first preseason game and, fans aren't allowed at practice anymore. So kind of get to start practice at any time we want now. But Dan Quinn, he gave us some injury updates today in his presser, and they're pretty negative, I'm not going to lie. First things first, let's start with some good news. Andrew Wiley, he should be back fully this week for practice. As y'all know, he's taken part in drills over the past couple weeks, but only individual drills and not team drills. Well, this week he should be getting back to working on 11v11 drills. Actually, today he was back working with the team in 11v11 drills, which is really good. Because, with him and Brandon Coleman out, our offensive line has kind of struggled. Even against the Jets last week in our joint practice with them, they struggled a whole lot with, us bringing Chris Paul and Mason Brooks up to work at left tackle, right tackle, Cornelius Lucas at left tackle, I'm pretty sure, and then Trent Scott right tackle. It was just bad. It was a mess against the Jets in joint practice. So, with our two tackles being out and Cosme being out for some days, our offensive line hasn't had the best play. But with Andrew Wiley back, our offensive line should be a whole lot better. But some bad news, Brandon Coleman, he is not expected to make his return this week to practices. I don't even think he's going to play this week against the Dolphins on Saturday, which is very unfortunate because, the Jets joint practice would have really helped them a whole lot going up against guys like Jermaine Johnson, Quinnen Williams. I know that Hassan Reddick, he just requested a trade today, which is insane. I mean, that whole situation with the Jets, it's a weird situation because he got traded from the Eagles to the Jets, and then he wanted a new contract, but the Jets aren't willing to give him that new contract. So it's a weird situation, all right? It's really weird. I'm not going to go into it. Going back to Brandon Coleman, though, it just sucks that he's not able to get, those learning experiences, those tests against an elite defensive line with elite defensive players like the Jets. So hopefully he'll be back soon. He has a shoulder injury, so, that could take a while to heal, but hopefully he'll be back by week 1, but honestly sooner because he needs to get those snaps to, just prove that he can be our starting left tackle and just to get some snaps. I mean, it'll be really good for his development. So hopefully he can be back sooner rather than later. And then Sam Hartman, he has a shoulder injury. He's day-to-day. Him and Coleman dealing with shoulder injuries. Coleman is also day-to-day as well. So Hartman, he's probably not going to make the roster, but it would be nice to see him back soon. He's probably not going to play Saturday against the Dolphins. Maybe he does. We'll see, but it does suck that he suffered a shoulder injury. He was actually playing pretty good against the Jets. He had some nice completions to, I think Luke McCaffrey, Bryson Tremaine. He also had a nice run for like a couple yards. So he was playing good against the Jets up until he got injured. So hopefully he can be back soon as well. And then Jordan McGee, he suffered a knee injury. He's getting tests. He got some tests today. We'll see, what those tests say. Maybe Dan Quinn will tell us what they reveal tomorrow. But, man, it's a huge bummer. Quinn said in his press conference himself, Jordan McGee, we drafted him in the 5th round. This group, this front office, this regime has a lot of faith in him, and he's just injured now, which sucks. Hopefully he'll be back soon. I think he'll be back by week 1, but it is good that we have pretty good, linebacker depth with Bobby Wagner, Frankie Lavue, obviously as our starting linebackers, but you also have Jamin Davis, Anthony Pittman, Mykal Walker. So we have some really good linebacker depth. So I wouldn't rush Jordan McGee back. It would be nice if he's back sooner rather than later, but, we don't have to rush him back because of how good our linebacker depth is. So it does suck to see Jordan McGee injured, but hopefully he's back sooner rather than later. So those are all the injury updates. A couple other things Quinn said in his press conference. He highlighted that Ben Sinnott, Tyler Owens, and Michael Wiley stood out to him in the Jets game. They stood out to me as well. Tyler Owens, he had a really good game. He made a couple nice plays on special teams. And on defense, Ben Sinnott, he made that long reception, that 44-yard reception from Jeff Driscoll. He was mauling over defenders. He would not go down. So I really like that from Benson. And then Michael Wiley, he might, overtake Chris Rodriguez, Jeremy McNichols, the other running backs on the back end of the roster for that running back 3 spot. He looked really good against the Jets. So super excited to see what else he does throughout the rest of training camp and in our preseason games against the Dolphins and Patriots. So that is about it from Dan Quinn's press conference. All right, moving on to what happened during practice today. First things first, the guys that were catching punts today were Crowder, Kaz Allen, Davion Davis, Olamide Zaccheaus, and Jahan Dotson. Really interesting to see James Crowder there. I mean, it's not surprising because he is listed as our starting punt returner on our first unofficial depth chart. But I don't think he got any playing time on Saturday against the Jets, which is really interesting. I thought he'd get a couple punt returns, maybe even kick returns, but he got no playing time whatsoever, which is really interesting to me. Maybe they gave him a rest day, a veteran rest day off. I'm not sure. But I was hoping to see, Crowder returning some punts because, he is our starting punt returner right now. And right now I feel like I don't think he's a lock to make the roster, but I feel like he has a higher chance to make the roster than other guys like Kaz Allen, Bryce Tremaine, Mitchell Tinsley, guys like that on the back end of the roster at receiver. So, hopefully we see some returns out of Crowder in our preseason game against the Dolphins on Saturday, but we shall see. Moving on to 11v11 drills, Jayden Daniels' first pass in 11v11 goes to a wide open Zach Ertz. Zach Shelby tweeted out that he can't wait to see that connection in game, and me neither. Him, Zach Ertz, and Ben Sinnen, I feel like they're going to be Jayden Daniels' best friends this upcoming season. Two really big tight ends who can go up and get the ball, especially Zach Ertz and Ben Sinnen. He is really good at, gaining extra yards after the catch. He showed it against the Jets on Saturday, that big catch he had over the middle. He was mauling guys, mauling defenders, picking up some extra yardage. So, man, super excited to see the connection with Jayden Daniels and his tight ends, Zach Ertz and Ben Sinnott. And then Derek Forrest, he was back today. He was dealing with a hamstring injury, but he was back working in 11v11 drills, and he made a super impressive pass breakup working against Jahan Dotson. It was a pass from Jayden Daniels to Jahan Dotson, and Derek Forrest, he made a pass breakup against him. So, man, Derek Forrest, he's going to have to work really hard to make this roster because it seems like right now, Tyler Owens, he could be making this roster. He has stood out in special teams, and he's made a couple of nice plays on defense as well. So Derek Forrest, he's going to have to stand out throughout the remainder of training camp and in our remainder of preseason games, because if he does, then he'll make the roster, but if he doesn't, then there's a good chance that Tyler Owens makes the roster over him, but we shall see what happens. And then Zach Shelby also said that Olamide Zaccheaus, he's been really impressed with Olamide Zaccheaus. He's had a really good connection with Jayden Daniels and a solid preseason game against the Jets. And yeah, he did. He had 2 catches, only one I think for like 19 yards. The other catch was a 24-yard reception. It was a really nice catch and run by him, but it was called back because Cole Turner was called for a blindside block. But he had a really good preseason game against the Jets. He had a couple nice punt returns in that game as well. So I'm super excited to see what Olamide Zaccheaus can do this upcoming season. I feel like him, De'Ami Brown, Luke McCaffrey, Terry McLaurin, and Jahan Dotson, those 5 guys are our only locks at receiver right now. The last spot is up in the air. Maybe a guy like Kaz Allen, Mitchell Tinsley, Jamison Crowder, Bryce Tremaine. One of those guys will get it, but I feel like Olamide Zaccheaus, he is a lock to make the roster right now, and I'm super excited to see. I think he's going to be a very reliable target for Jayden Daniels this season, so I'm super excited to see that connection with Jayden Daniels and Olamide Zaccheaus this season. JP Finlay put out a tweet saying, whole defensive sideline running to the end zone. Might be a quick practice, but they are running. So the vibes were high today. Benston, they even put out a tweet saying that as well. So really good. The vibes have been high throughout training camp so far. So, it's good to see the vibes around the organization back again. Now, finally, we have to talk about the kicker situation because it was bad again today. Let me find the tweet here. Let's see where it is. JP Finlay, he said that the kicking situation is a problem. Ahmed was inaccurate and Patterson just rocked the goalpost so hard it was wobbling around. So, man, Riley Patterson, y'all saw the missed kick on Saturday if y'all were watching the game. He missed a 30-yard kick. That's such a short kick. Every single kicker in the NFL should be able to make that, in my opinion. That's such an easy kick to make, and the fact that he missed it is unbelievable. Riley Patterson, he's really bad. I thought he was going to be pretty good coming in here, but, man, he's bad. Ramiz Ahmed, he's not so good either. He doesn't really have a strong leg. I guess you could say he makes the short kicks, but not the long ones. I mean, they're both just really, really bad. Ramis Ahmed, he's inaccurate. Riley Patterson, he's just bad. We need to find new kickers. I don't know what kickers are out there. I know Brett Maher and Randy Bullock are out there, but they're 35 years old at this point. I guess we want to go for a younger kicker. So, man, Brandon McManus, he really screwed us up because we do not have a kicker on our roster right now. We have two kickers on this roster, Riley Patterson and Ramis Ahmed, and neither of them are going to be our starting kicker for week 1. So we need to find a kicker or two, to be honest, to bring in here to replace Ramis Ahmed and or Riley Patterson, in my opinion, because they've bumped him pretty bad. I mean, Ramis Ahmed, you could say, is winning the competition, but this has been a very, very mid competition so far. So, man, the kicker position is a real concern right now. It's not something to, just ignore, because we saw with Joey Sly last year. I mean, Joey Sly, he was missing kicks left and right, extra points, field goals, so it was bad. So we need a kicker who can consistently make extra points and field goals. But I don't know if we'll find that kicker. Maybe we will, but that kicker is just not on our roster yet. So we'll see what happens there. But that is it for practice today. It was a very short, light practice, but that's because we go up to Miami on Thursday. I think tomorrow will be a heavier practice, and then Wednesday they're going to travel up to Miami, and then Thursday is our actual joint practice with Miami. Sorry, not up to Miami, down to Miami. But yeah, joint practice with Miami is on Thursday, so I'm super excited for that. That is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a like down below, subscribe, turn on notifications, on the road to 4K subs, like I said. So if you could, hit that sub button. I'd really appreciate it. And other than that, it's been King Sean, and I'm out. Peace.